What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another live stream for you guys in build-up to the big game against Bournemouth this weekend at the Vitality.
It's become a big game, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is a big game. Three points is a must tomorrow. It really is. 3 p.m. kickoff at the Vitality. How are you feeling coming into it?
I mean, you say a big game. You wouldn't normally think Bournemouth away is such a big game, would you? You think it's just whatever, just standard. But because of recent results, no win in 3 games now. 2 defeats on the trot in the Premier League. Injuries mounting.
All right. Way to make me feel good about ourselves.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? That's why it's become such a big game. That's why it's so important we get a result. And it kind of reminds me of like when we played Watford last season on New Year's Day. It's like one of those games where you're going into expecting a win. And obviously, with the impetus is going to be on us to attack. We're going to be on top in this game. Make no illusions about that. This is definitely a game we're going to dominate possession. But is it a game where we're going to struggle for chances and struggle for and struggle to really break teams down? I think on the positive side, when you look at that element to the game, on Wednesday night was probably in the second half one of our best performances in possession, you have to say, for a long time. So that gives me encouragement that we can go into this game away at Bournemouth, a team clearly been very compact ever since Gary O'Neill's come in and very hard to beat. I think they lost the last 2, but those are their first losses under Gary O'Neill. So obviously, we go into that game as big favourites. But Wednesday, in a weird way, I know we started off the game poorly, but it gives me more encouragement that with possession, we might be able to create some chances as opposed to being a bit blunt. But it's going to be interesting to see. Does he continue with Lucas Moura? Does Brian Hill come in? Does he go back to the 3-5-2? Big question marks for Conte, and it's going to be interesting to see what the team is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, from your point of view, what would you prefer to see? Or would you prefer to see us stick with the 3-4-3 with Lucas there?
I mean,
you did say Brian Hill, didn't you, at the end of last game?
We have a big game coming up on Wednesday, massive on Wednesday in midweek against Marseille. It's a gigantic game now because of the fact that Kane's goal didn't count. We go into that game needing a result, so we have to go there full strength. So I think it means in this game, not obviously we have to play the big hitters, like, because there's also big games, so Kane, Son, and people like that. But I do think as well, if there's any fatigue issues, we have to rest players for Wednesday. That's just the reality. Tuesday. We have to rest them. So that means we have to give some players a chance. And if that means only Skip has a chance, if that means someone, whether it be Doherty or Sessegnon, give them an opportunity for me on the weekend. And for me, it means giving Brian Hill a chance. And I think Lucas Moura started on Tuesday. And I think maybe even... and I still either he's not 100% or he was just playing like Lucas Moura usually plays because he was really poor. And I would probably give him the nod on if we go 3-4-3 on Tuesday, even though Brian Hill was probably better. I'd still give Lucas the nod just because at the moment I trust him just a bit more. But on Saturday, I think Brian Hill should have a run. Just have a go. Give him a go. See how he does. If it's not working after an hour, take him off. But I think he's come on with boundless amounts of energy. He's a creative player. He could be more suited to that right-hand side as well. Have him up front. I don't think he's ever played apart from Wednesday night and some cameo performances with Kane and Son. I don't think he's started together with them before. So I think it's time to give him a go. I mean, without Richarlison and Kulusevski, what can you lose, really? I think and he's going to give you 100%. He's not going to be a liability off the ball. So I think for me, I would give him a go and just see what he can do in this game. Because if he can create something, even if he can create a goal or score a goal or just something, that could go a long way. Because there might only be one goal in this.
And the need for rotation is probably a bit more pressing this weekend because the turnover is fairly short on Tuesday instead of Wednesday. That's 24 hours shorter than what it has been for the last game anyway. And I mean, I kind of feel like Brian Hill would be better off served coming on against tired legs, but because the turnover is so short, I kind of tend to agree with you that maybe we should give him a go at Bournemouth this weekend. But with the players that they have in their defence, they got big, tall centre backs, but their wing backs in Fredericks and Smith. I mean, Gill can get them, can't they? Can't he?
Yeah, you'd think so. Are they much? Are they much more physical than the wing backs you'd come up against in La Liga? I mean, like, is Ryan Fredericks that much more physical than some of those wing backs, and Adam Smith as well? These are two wing backs who really aren't the most physical players when it comes to the Premier League. So I think if there's any opportunity to give Brian Hill a chance, I think Saturday's that time for me, and especially in this kind of game where you're playing against a Bournemouth side who you're going to have the majority of possession. He might have a few opportunities to show off some of his quality. Obviously, when it gets a bit congested in the central areas and he's asked to use his strength to hold players off, that's when he might come unstuck. But if you keep him wide and let him find the space, and then hopefully he can provide a bit of assistance to Kane and Son. I think maybe it's something that could work. I'm not saying he's the answer. Definitely not. I'd even if Lucas had a great game on Wednesday night, I would probably look to start him on Saturday. But the fact is, he didn't really do it. Gil came on and showed quite a bit, and we need to rest players for Tuesday in a massive game. So I think Conte needs to use the squad, and I would go with a 3-4-3 because I wouldn't want to, as much as clogging up the midfield might benefit us because Bournemouth like to play with 3 centre mids. I still think we can cope with the 2 in there with the quality that we have, and I think having that front three will really benefit us when we're attacking and making sure we're exploiting the space as much as possible. Which there will be limited because they're a very compact team, Bournemouth.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 3-4-3 is the way to go. Proper take the game to them. They'll be sitting in their shape, being compact, not letting us have too much spaces. So we really got to take it to them as much as we can tomorrow, and we've got the superior quality as well. So hopefully that can pay dividends. But in terms of the form of the two teams coming into the game. Bournemouth under Gary O'Neill have suffered their first 2 losses in the last 2 games without scoring a goal. Do you put that down to the quality that they've come up against, or is the honeymoon period kind of running out now?
Yeah, it's run out. I think no win in their last 3. That's 1 win in their last 5. 2 draw. So 1 win in their last 5. There's 2 defeats there. Quality. West Ham away and Southampton at home. It's not like these are standard Premier League games. You know what I mean? It's not like they're playing the top 6 or even top 10. They're these are teams in the bottom half. So I don't think they can put it down to we come up against 2 good teams. I just think I always thought that as soon as they started getting a few defeats, that bubble might start to burst, and I think we're starting to see that at the moment. I don't think, but look, when it comes to Bournemouth, I think they're a very hard-working team. They're better than the sum of its parts because I think as a team, quality-wise, they're championship. Let's be honest. I know Solanke's had a decent run of late, but I just think there's a severe lack of Premier League quality there. When you're relying on players like Fredericks and Smith and Steve Cook as well in the back line. These are players who have been relegated before, who have really struggled in the Premier League before, and who I don't think are good enough to keep you in the Premier League. So I think that
doesn't Steve Cook play for Forest?
Sorry, I'm not thinking of Steve Cook. Chris Mepham. That's what I was thinking of. Steve Cook plays for Forest. Yeah. He's also been relegated before. These are players who don't have that great quality, in my opinion, to keep you in. And maybe they can get you through a few games, but in the long run, you're going to suffer. So, I think for me, Steve Cook used to play for Bournemouth. That's maybe why I got confused. I think you're going to suffer, and I think I think they will start to suffer now. And I think they rallied when Scott Parker got sacked and Gary Neal came in, and they want to prove a lot of people wrong. And to be fair, they went on a 6-match unbeaten run, and for a team with Bournemouth's quality, I think that's impressive in itself. But I never thought they'd be able to keep it up. And at the moment, it seems to be true. And if we win, there'll be 3 losses in a row, and all of a sudden the results are really starting to slip. But I don't think. I still think they're even though where are they in the league? Like still mid-table.
They're about 15th.
I still think they're favourites to go down, even though they had. Look, you got to give them credit for going on that run, but I just can't see them keeping it up. Like, because where's the quality coming from? Apart from that, like once that hard work, You know, once you start to get found out, it's only so hard you can work before that quality starts to show, because other teams are going to match your hard work at some point. And I think we're starting to see that.
Yeah, I tend to agree as well. I mean, we both put them down as like dead certs for the drop at the beginning of the season, and you know, they've had a fairly impressive. I know they've lost their manager and Scott Parker, but since he's been sacked, they've had a fairly impressive run. But it does seem like they're being found out a bit now with 2 losses and no goals scored on the bounce. In terms of our head-to-head against Bournemouth, obviously we haven't played them since 2020, but it was a draw 0-0 at home. I mean, we've got a fairly good record against them. We did lose that one time. Was that when Sonny got sent off?
We drew 0-0 at home to them. Don't remember that.
Maybe it's wrong.
I'm trying to remember. July. I think it might have been away. I think, yeah, during lockdown.
What was the game when Sonny got sent off?
No, that was like 2019.
That was a 1-0 loss, was it?
Yeah, that was a 1-0 loss. I think that game was away. But I think there was a 0-0 draw there. I think, because I remember it, because I think Kane should have had a penalty in the first minute, and it was a dab draw. It was under Mourinho. The
fact of the matter is that having said that, then the last 2 times we've been to Bournemouth, we've failed to win.
Yeah, and I remember there as well. There was one game under Pochettino, even in Pochettino's best season. In the last season of White Lane, we drew 0-0 away from home as well in that game. That was when we were at our best. So, look, I think the problem with Bournemouth is it's a very small stadium, very small pitch. They're a very compact team as well. There isn't going to be much space in the wide areas with how small with how they play and how small the pitch is. So, I can see why we struggle a bit sometimes there. But I don't think there's any excuse, because you should have the quality players the quality to play through them, and the quality to make it count. And if we don't do that, we only have ourselves to blame. And they're going to make it as difficult as possible, but the best teams find solutions. And if we can't find solutions in this game, then that simply isn't good enough. Whatever way you slice it, and as much, of course, it's going to be hard. And even if it's just a 1-0 win, that's fine. But you have to make sure you find that solution and not let this game pass you by as a game that was too difficult, because I don't think that's a good enough excuse. But yeah, it won't be easy. I can see it being literally one goal in it, and being very compact with the way Bournemouth play.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the league table, 5 points behind top of the league at the moment, and they've got Nottingham Forest at home this weekend. Does that make it even more increasingly important, this game, to win? To not fall even 8 points behind.
Well, and they'll have a game in hand on top of that. Like, you just don't want that situation to get any worse. You don't want them to start pulling away. On a positive note, their performances are definitely starting to falter, so that's good. But you would imagine that they're going to beat Forest this Sunday, and we can't allow that gap to get much bigger, especially going into the World Cup break. You want to be within touching distance with them going into that break, and then second half maybe things can turn more positively in our favour. So for sure, that definitely is underlying. Obviously, if it does go to 8 points at this stage of the season, it'll be bad, but it's not the be all and end all, because there's still a long way to go. But for sure, it'll look very bad on paper. And imagine just having a whole month of like Arsenal like 10 points ahead of us on the table. You just don't want that situation to happen. You know what I mean? I'd just be terrible. I wouldn't be able to enjoy the World Cup if that was the case. You know what I mean? Just all the have too much.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In terms of the players that we've picked out as ones to watch, we've gone for Billing and Solanke. Obviously, Solanke's a bit of a doubt coming into this game, but I think he will play. So there's a 75% chance of him playing. I mean, we haven't seen the press conference or got any team news exactly.
Conte's doing his
yet.
one now.
Yeah, but in terms of Gary O'Neill, we don't know anything about Solanke yet. But Billing, how impressive has he been this season?
I've always liked Billing. I think he's a good player, but I don't know if he's he's got a really sweet left foot. He's a strong midfielder, but I feel like tactically he's a bit he's a bit oblivious sometimes. I think he relies on his quality and his physicality too much to bail him out of situations rather than being completely tactically set up. He's very tall. He's good in the air. He's got a rocket of a left foot. He really does. He's got so much power on that left foot. But I feel like he's a player that leaves you wanting more. He kind of is a bit frustrating at times as well. He's like a bit like John Joe Shelvey in a way. Bags the quality, but never really exploits it to the utmost. And that's maybe what's preventing him from moving up a level from Bournemouth. to someone else. And I think he used to play for Huddersfield before. I remember he was pretty good at Huddersfield. And then he moved to Bournemouth in the Premier League, but then they got relegated. So I think he's a good player, but and he's one you have to watch. But he's a bit I think recently playing in the number 10 role, he's playing a bit like a Fellaini kind of role. You know what I mean? Get it to his chest or to his head, rely on his physical aspects to gain you advantages, and then maybe when he gets a chance to shoot outside the box, he can take it with his left peg. But I don't know whether he has the mindset to take that next leap. I think he has the quality to maybe move up a level. I'm not saying like top 6, but definitely like a mid-table Prem team. But whether he has the mindset for it, that's why I'm questioning. Solanke is an interesting one. Obviously, he killed it in the Championship last season. Probably his first good season in a long time, because he was very much talked up, wasn't he? Yeah. As a youngster, Chelsea. He was at Chelsea and he was at Liverpool.
Didn't he get? Wasn't there a big money?
Yeah,
move
he moved from Liverpool to Bournemouth for big money. I think 18 million, if I remember rightly.
I mean, Liverpool did Bournemouth a couple of times, didn't they?
Yeah, for Jordan Ibe as well. So a lot has always been thought of him. Solanke. He's had. I'm pretty sure he's played quite a few under 21 level. Maybe got a few goals there. Cap. I didn't even know that. We had an England cap. When was that?
I don't know when it was. It says 2017.
Oh wow. That's incredible. But he never really did it in the Premier League in all his years up until this season. I mean, even this season, you can doubt it. But he's never really had a good run of games in the Premier League and got goals or anything like that. He's always seemed like it's not his level. And then last season, the Championship, he was brilliant. That was like his real breakout season in the Championship last season. He scored lots of goals.
Well, it was actually 2 seasons ago. 2 seasons ago, he scored 15, and then last year he scored 29. So
yes, I'm saying last season he exploded.
Last season was an explosion.
Yeah.
But 15 still like respectable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So he was building his way up. Last season he like 29 goals. That's exceptional. Like you got to say that's really the sign of a striker exploding. And then he's come to the Premier League. I know it says there 2 goals and 3 assists, and on paper it's not bad. But I'm pretty sure both goals came in the same game against Forest.
Yes, but he has had injury problems this season.
Yeah. So, but 10 appearances, look, 5 goal contributions in 10 appearances, not bad. But I'm pretty sure, I even think 1 assist as well. I'm pretty sure he got 2 goals and 1 assist in that one game. So I think,
quick look.
I think he got 2 goals and 1 assist in that one game, if I remember rightly. I might be wrong. So maybe from that aspect, it's probably not as impressive.
I think that I like him as a player, and I think he did have the injury problems maybe at the start of the season, but since he's come back, I mean, he's looked fairly good, to be honest. I'm not sure about, he should be producing more goals and assists and stuff like that, but how many are you actually going to produce playing for Bournemouth? Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true, and that's something maybe that's harsh to hold against him. I think he's done it all right.
He scored against Forest and scored against Fulham.
He scored against Forest and scored against... Oh, yeah, he scored a nice goal against Fulham, to be fair. That was in the first minute. That was a nice finish. So he's got a couple of...
And in that game he scored against Fulham, he got an assist.
Okay.
And in the game he scored against Forest, he also got an assist.
Yeah, so he got a goal and assist in those 2 games. So that's not bad.
And it's like... he hasn't done it against like the Premier League teams from last season. He's done it against teams that he played against last season.
Yeah,
in the Championship.
so you could argue there, yeah, Championship, yeah. So I think it's a bit harsh to judge him just yet. Maybe you have to wait for the season to end, see how he does overall. I think you would probably say he's been okay, but he hasn't really. Definitely hasn't hit the ground running, but he hasn't been awful either. He's been like when he's had the chance to play, he's been decent. But obviously, big things were expected having that season in the Championship last season. So I think it's wait and see. He's definitely one who's would probably be a threat if he starts. He's obviously definitely one who's good physicality and a good finisher.
Would you prefer to face someone like him or someone like Kiefer Moore, who's like really physical and that can rival Dyer in the air?
Yeah, Kiefer Moore's interesting.
Have the domination of Dyer in the air. He hasn't
really done much, has he, this season? Kiefer
no,
Moore?
I mean he's been out the team for the most part of the season. I like Kiefer Moore as a player, but I think when you're judging against him and Solanke, Solanke just has that just bit more about him than Kiefer Moore.
Yeah, definitely. Who would I rather we play against? Probably Kiefer Moore, because I think we struggle a bit more against pace than we do against physicality. I think with the 3 centre-backs in there, I think we can cope with it a bit better, rather than if there's someone with a bit of pace running in behind the likes of Dyer. I think we struggle a bit more, and that's when they've been found out a bit more. So, and also playing someone like Kiefer Moore allows you to push a bit higher up the pitch without the fear of running in behind. So I'd always rather that. But if they play someone like Kiefer Moore in the correct way, he can also be just as effective with his hold-up play and bring other people into play and things like that. So not to say Kiefer Moore is going to be easy to deal with, but I'd rather deal with him than Solanke.
I do expect Solanke will play, but we'll have to wait and see the press conference to see.
Someone says, is Kane injured? I'm worried. Why would they be saying that?
I don't think Kane's injured. But if you bring up the opposition lineup graphic, you got David Brooks, who's injured, obviously. Very sad story there. Kelly and the goalkeeper Neto, who's out, and Solanke is a doubt. In terms of that lineup there, you got Fredericks and Smith as fullbacks, both Tottenham Academy graduates, I believe.
They out.
So they'll have a bit of a point to prove. You've got Jefferson, Lerma and Cook in the middle. That's Lewis Cook.
We were linked with Lewis Cook back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, have you been impressed with Lerma this season at all?
Jefferson Lerma. I remember when he signed back. He's been aboard for a while now, because I remember he signed after the World Cup back in 2018. He had a very good World Cup for Colombia. So I think he's an okay defensive mid, but there's a reason he's been at Bournemouth all this time. I think he's okay. I don't think he's anything special. I don't think he's. I think he's one where. He's actually got I think he's got like 3 goals this season. So I think he's added a few more goals to his game potentially this season, and maybe he's becoming a bit more all-rounded. But I think he's still lacking a bit technically to really do the step up. But he's one of those who, on a good day, he can really frustrate you with his endeavour and his physicality and his aggression. Like, he gets around the pitch a lot. He makes lots of fouls. He gets in your face a lot. So he's definitely one. That can be frustrating on his day, but over the long term, like over a long season, I don't think he's anything special. He's a bit inconsistent, but he's been all right for Bournemouth, to be fair, this season. Jefferson Lerma,
yeah.
But he gets booked a lot. He gets lots of cards.
He definitely gets. He's one on the bet builders to put in every time.
100%.
But literally, but look, I think that. When you're judging Spurs' performances in the league the last 2 games, I mean, it's imperative that we have a better performance, because the last 2 performances in the league have been nothing short of disgraceful.
Well, I wouldn't say the Newcastle performance was disgraceful.
Well, first half anyway.
No, Newcastle were good first.
I mean, second half. I mean, we should have got back into that game. I mean, anyway, the Man United performance was disgraceful.
I'll say Man United.
We should have done better against Newcastle. We really should have.
Yeah, but I would say it's harsh to say it was disgraceful. But I would say the first half against Lisbon was disgraceful. You know what I mean? That was really poor. But then the second half was one of our best displays of the season, you could argue. In that second half against Lisbon, I think we were very good. So
it was a very similar game, the Lisbon game. Without the goals, maybe to the in terms of the way the performances went to the Leicester game. You know, we weren't very good in that first half against Leicester, and then we came out second half, brought Sonny on, and completely smashed them. But we got the goals in that game. Yeah.
So we know what Bournemouth are going to do. They're going to be very compact. They're going to try and stop us playing football, and it's going to be very difficult. And I think we're going to have to be patient in this game. There are going to be periods where we're playing it sideways and stuff like that, and I can see fans getting frustrated and stuff like that. But we have to stick with the team, and we have to know that if we can, once we find that goal, and then Bournemouth might start to open up a bit, and then we can really exploit them. But as long as the game's 0-0. The worst thing we can do is concede an early goal or concede a goal at any point, really, because that really, first of all, not only does it entrench Bournemouth in their compactness, it will give them belief and it will give them something to hang on to. As long as the game's 0-0 and there's a chance for them to go and win the game or something, it will be a tiny bit more open than if it's 1-0 to them. All of a sudden, it's batten down the hatches and park the bus. So. We just got to make sure no sloppy goals, no unnecessary set pieces we give away. All these kind of things matter. Make sure you take control of the game. And if we do that, I believe we'll have the quality to win. But it's going to be, I reckon it's possible that at times it's going to be quite a frustrating game for us. But we just have to be patient.
I mean, that's why I might prefer to face a Solanke over a Kiefer Moore, just because from set pieces they'll be that much more dangerous, because he is a threat no matter what anyone says about him as a player. He is a massive threat from set pieces.
I agree with that, but if we play how I want to play, and that is throwing a bit more, like we did in the second half against Sporting. We actually threw some caution to the wind. We actually were on the halfway line. We weren't so deep. We were pressing high, suffocating Bournemouth. Exactly, they're going to be a lot more dangerous on the break if they have Solanke than they have Kiefer Moore. If they have Kiefer Moore, even if he does get in behind, you know that we probably have the defenders to recover that situation. If it's Solanke, there's a chance he might get away, and that would be a problem.
Although, on the break, maybe Kiefer Moore's hold up play and bringing others into play might be beneficial for them.
Yeah, but Solanke also has decent hold up play. That's the thing.
Fair.
So I don't know. Just for me, I'd rather face Kiefer Moore than Solanke. But for sure, Kiefer Moore provides his own set of threats, and it's always give and take. But I really hope we perform. We start the game like we did against Lisbon in the second half. We suffocate them, making sure that every time that they go to clear, we're the ones first at that ball. We're not allowing them to break up play or hold the ball or anything like that. We're just penning them in and make it a matter of time before we score. And in a perfect world, we do get the lead in the first half, and then second half we can manage the game and with a view to Tuesday, because it's a quick turnaround. History states it's probably not going to be that way, and it's probably going to be like go 0-0 to the last minute, and we'll try and be finding a goal then, and knowing us. But hopefully, in an ideal world, we get a goal or two early in the first half, and then we can manage the game in the second half, and that would be ideal. With and maybe even a chance to rest one of Kane or Son, that would be really ideal. But I feel like I might be asking for too much.
Look, at the end of the day, just get 3 points by hook or crook. It doesn't matter which way it comes tomorrow. Just get those 3 points, and that's the way it's got to be probably until the international break, with the injuries building up and stuff like that. But in terms of Højbjerg and Romero and players that might be suffering from fatigue, do you stick them in for this game? Because obviously Romero and Højbjerg have come out the team for fatigue in recent weeks. And we've got
but they had
a very important game.
I get that they've had a game break now, so surely that should have helped them. And if they came back into the game, and I thought they played very well on Wednesday.
They can't be the only ones on the brink of it.
That's what I'm worried about, and not necessarily just them. It's Bentancur's played every game, hasn't he? He hasn't missed a game. Kane and Son. They've played. I mean, Son had half a game break against Leicester, but he's pretty much played every game. Dyer, 100%. He's played every game. So these are more things to worry about. Are they going to pull up? It's not even necessarily are they fit for the game. It's even if they are fit for the game and they're ready to play, are they going to pull up at any point in the game and then get ruled out for Tuesday? These are big decisions. Obviously, it's up to the club doctors and Conte to decide how. And I'm happy that I know we lost the game against Newcastle, and obviously I'm not happy about that. But I'm happy that Conte saw that they were suffering from fatigue, not even necessarily injuries, but they were suffering from muscle fatigue and had a risk of, if they were playing, they could get injured, and he decided not to even involve them and trust our squad. And I know, obviously, we didn't get the win and we didn't get the result we wanted, but I think in the long run that will help us, because we need to start trusting the rest of our squad, and we need to and hopefully that will lead to maybe later on we'll have more players available to us, and it'll help. And we have to help manage the squad. We can't keep relying on the same players all the time and expect them to stay fit, and not only stay fit but stay at their sharpest as well. That's a big problem. So I'm happy that he took that decision, and that gives me confidence that anyone who starts against Bournemouth is going to be fit enough to play.
So how do you see the game going, and what is your score prediction?
I think it's going to be close, man. I really do. I think it's going to be just a tough away game where the crowd are going to be on their side. It's a big game, a top 6 team going to away to Bournemouth, so the crowd are going to be up for it. It's going to be very compact. They're obviously on the back of 2 defeats in a row, so they don't want that to continue. So I think they're going to be really compact. They're going to try and stop us playing, and it's going to be the onus is going to be on us. I can see us. I can see the game. How I see the game going is I think we're going to come out flying. I think we're going to come flying out the traps, and it's whether we get a goal in that period or not. If we don't get a goal in that period, I can see it being a bit frustrating, and we have to bide our time and be a bit patient, and try and open them up. If we do get a goal in that period, then I think we can manage the game a lot better, and then we might be able to get a second or a third, maybe in the second half. But if not, if we don't get a goal in that period early in the game, I think I can see it. I'm still hoping we'll have the quality to win, so I'm just going to go with a 1-0. I think we should have enough to keep a clean sheet and stop them from creating chances with the way we play. But it's whether we have enough quality to open them up in the congested areas. It might be a case again. I've looked at their average positions of the last 2 games. They're so narrow. There was even against West Ham, there was not one player on the left-hand side. It was the left-hand side was completely free. Everyone was tucked in. So the wide areas is where we're going to hurt them. But unfortunately, with a small pitch, the wide areas is going to be a bit limited. So we're going to have to try and exploit it as best we can. But we need the wide players to step up.
Yeah, maybe, that average position, if they keep that average position that they had at West Ham, because they're all bunched in the middle of the park, will that play into our hands? That surely should. It
should, yeah. Because it'll leave the space there. But then again, we need the quality we need the players to show the quality. And I don't know what he'll play. Will he play Doherty? Will he play Emerson? If we play Emerson, I'd love to see a Spence in this game. Because if you remember, I remember Watford away last year. Obviously, they were bottom of the league at the time, and we were big favourites. And we went there. They were very compact. They left us with the wide areas, and we pretty much just gave it to Emerson every time. He was free every time, and he didn't put one good cross in the whole game. Yeah. And that's what I'm worried about, that stuff like that happening. I'd love to see Spence in this game because it's opposition that he's used to facing. Teams up from the Championship, obviously got right back of the Championship last year. I know Conte probably won't go for him, but I think it's a really good opportunity to try him this weekend. I would love it. I would absolutely love it if he went with Spence, but we know it's not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen. I mean, why not? Give him a run. Give him a run. Give him a game. Just give him a game. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work and you take him off and bring on Doherty. I mean, that's literally the worst case scenario. So, I mean, I would give him a go, but Conte doesn't seem to trust him. And maybe he'll surprise us. You never know. Maybe he'll surprise us. And between Emerson and Doherty, if it is between those two, which most likely it is, I mean, surely you'd rather go Doherty 100%. This weekend, especially right? How I envisaged the setup of Bournemouth. 100% I'd go Doherty because I think there'll be lots of opportunity for him to get forward and get in the box. And also maybe with some clever passing and stuff out wide, we can start opening them up. When it's Emerson, obviously he has the physicality to exploit that right hand side, but he doesn't have the quality. So that's always my frustration with him. And I just envisage Emerson playing and him putting cross after cross after cross, and he's just headed away and not reaching anyone. And then by the hour mark, we'll probably have to take him off anyway. So I want Doherty to start. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame Kulusevski's probably not going to be fit because he could have even been a good option there, to really try and press the issue. But we'll have to wait and see of Conte's press conference, but it's highly unlikely. Yeah, I'd even consider Lucas at wing-back and Gil in the number 10 if to really force it. There's no options, literally no options to change things if things aren't going right, though. I still think he can bring Doherty on because I still think he can offer something on the right-hand side coming forward. So, if you really want to force the issue early on, I would consider that because that can really put Bournemouth under pressure early on. But knowing Conte, he'll start with Doherty and put Lucas there if it's not working. That's what he'd rather do. In terms of my prediction, I'm banking on us to get that early goal. I think we're going to come out the traps fast, especially after that second half performance last week, a few days ago. It should really give us some sort of confidence because Lisbon have been going pretty well in the Champions League group, and Bournemouth don't have anywhere near as much quality as they do. I know we were playing at home, but we just got to stamp our authority in the game, come out like we're the superior team with confidence, and just go at them from minute one. And if we can get that opening goal, I'm hoping that we can just go on and, like you say, manage the game. And I'm going to predict 2-0 win to Spurs. I said 1-0 and predict the Prem, but now I'm thinking about it. If we can get that early goal, then it will give us the opportunity to get that second goal and really seal off that game. So yeah, 100%. I'm going 2-0. My brother's going 1-0. I want to know your predictions in the comment section below. And now we'll move on and take some callers. Just before we do that, though, we are going to go to BetMate, obviously the really fun fantasy gaming app. And we've got a free pot for you guys this weekend. Free, come on. Absolutely free to play. And it is £50 guaranteed payout. So if you want to join in for absolutely no cost at all, then come and join us. All you have to do is download the app,
press the button that says join league, and the code is WATTV. So it, like I said, completely free. And the way it works is you pick a 7-a-side team, and you can only pick, well, you can pick 6 players for Tottenham, or 6 players for any one team. So that
Bournemouth,
leaves you
if you want, if you're a bit
exactly, and that leaves you with 1 player that you can pick on the opposition team. And let's go and have a look at my team. So I've gone with Hugo Lloris in goal. I'm banking on him to get a clean sheet. Hopefully he doesn't have to make too many saves, to be honest. But in defence, I've gone for Ryan Sessegnon and Clement Longley. I'm hoping that Longley can play, and with his ball-playing ability, really hurt the Bournemouth backline. And obviously Ryan Sessegnon, if he plays, will be a flying wing-back, and he'll definitely look to hurt Bournemouth at every opportunity, hopefully. In the midfield, I've gone for Lucas Moura and Billing. So Billing is obviously getting quite a few returns for Bournemouth this year, so I've gone for him. And Lucas Moura, hopefully, if he plays, he can have a much better performance and really hurt that Bournemouth backline again. And then obviously I've got Kane as captain and Son as vice-captain up top.
And my team, I've got Hugo Lloris in goal. I've got Eric Dyer and Ryan Sessegnon as my back two. Obviously, Dyer, I think, is definitely going to start. And considering the chances he missed, maybe he'll get some chances against Bournemouth from set pieces and whatnot. Sessegnon, I think, is going to come in for Perisic, and obviously he's going to be a wing-back. In midfield, I've gone for Rodrigo Bentancur and Philip Billing. Obviously, Billing is a midfielder who makes tackles and interceptions and also plays a bit further forward, so he might have a chance of doing something. Bentancur has been brilliant recently, maybe has a chance for assist, but also does lots of defensive contributions. And up front, obviously, I've got Kane and I've got Heung-min Son, who else in the forward line. So that's my team. But just remember, all you have to do is download BetMate, click the join tab and type in WATTV, and it's an absolutely free pot and there's money to be won. So come take us on, join the pot, free to play, and win some money.
Absolutely, it's going to be.
See if you can beat us.
Big one this weekend.
Otherwise, the money's going to me or Ben. So come on.
Yeah,
there's something you have to do.
Yeah,
so don't join.
Most likely me. Most likely me.
No, me.
Nah, but that is it. The link for the app to download is in the description below. So all you have to do is click that link, sign up, and also if you want to sign up and get free £5 as well, you could use the promo code WATTV5. So you can actually gain money and even lose this weekend because you get free £5 when you sign up. So big up to all of you. Look forward to taking you all on BetMate this weekend, and let's move on to the call.
Before we start getting callers, there's something else I want to discuss, and that's the narrative I'm seeing right now about Conte, because I'm seeing a lot of I just read an article this morning from ESPN talking about is the cloud starting to come over Conte at the moment with the where we're at as a club. He's obviously now been here a year. They're talking about are the wheels starting to fall off for Conte? That's what they're discussing. I saw Sports Bible midweek tweet out the odds for Conte to be the next manager to get sacked. I'm hearing, at half-time against Newcastle and at half-time against Lisbon, loud boos from the crowd after what they saw on the pitch. Is there a conversation there about the wheels coming off for Conte, or is that a complete overreaction from people in the media? Because I personally think I'd like to think it's a big overreaction, but then when you do hear loud boos, I can understand why there is that narrative there, because it does give off the impression of a fractured fan base and people who aren't happy with what they're seeing, and fans who are voicing their discontent at the football. But for me personally, as much as I'm disappointed with the last round of latest results and things like that, I still have full belief that under Conte we are going in the right direction, and I think even with the performances, results are still pretty decent. And even in our worst performances, I mean, Man United was bad, but even against Newcastle and stuff, there were good things to come out of that game, and against Lisbon we should have won. So, is there a narrative building that there is discontent, do you think, about Conte right now, or is that overblown?
First of all, with the fans booing, the fans that have booed in the last couple of games need to give their heads a bit of a wobble, because how can you... I know the football maybe hasn't been great and those performances in the first half weren't great either, But the fact, well, even the Newcastle game, right? We played really well for half an hour and we chucked it away with
that's not down to
individual
Conte,
errors.
is it? The way we gave those goals away.
But those fans that are booing really need to give their head a serious wobble, because the fact of the matter is we're third in the league, we're top of our Champions League group, and things aren't all that bad. I think that Conte is obviously facing a big uphill battle with the state of the squad that it's in, and we didn't do enough in the summer to support him. And I think the way things are going right now, Conte, I don't think he wants to let the shackles off and let us really go and play our game like you saw at the back end of last season, because I think he thinks that the defence is too frail at the moment, and you can see that in front of your eyes. You know, we're not defending well, and the wing backs aren't really good enough to play his game. I feel for Conte massively. I think that we haven't supported him as much as we should have done as a club. And I think people should be supporting Conte more than what's going on right now. And I think the talks of him being the next manager to be sacked and all this kind of rubbish is completely premature and a complete overreaction. I really believe that. Yes, I know things maybe aren't going as well as we wanted to in terms of performances, but the guy needs time. The guy needs time. The guy needs patience, like he keeps calling for. And things will turn around if he gets the support he needs. But right now, what manager is going to come in and do any better that Conte is doing right now?
With what he has.
With what he has.
Yeah,
I don't think
completely
any
agree.
manager can do that.
I just think that, I completely agree with what you're saying about fans booing at stadiums. I think that it's completely wrong, especially at this point of the season. Look, we're third in the league, I think, and also not only that, you see the players by and large are trying their hardest. They're working really hard on the pitch, and they're trying to get us results. It's not like they're walking around and they're just like being and the team is like we're struggling in the league or something. We're in relegation battle and they're just strolling around like no one cares. Like, they're trying their hardest. Clearly, Conte. He has the players on side. He has them believing in the way we play, and I know the performances haven't been great recently, but we should not be turning on the team and on the manager based on some poor performances. But I guess that's the nature of modern day football fans a lot of the time. But considering that, is there a growing sense of discontent if that's starting to happen?
But I've seen this discontent from the fans even before these poor, the loud boos that you were talking about. I mean, all season, pretty much, fans have been talking about how poor our football is and this kind of stuff. And when we were winning, it wasn't too much of an issue. But now these results have started to creep in. It kind of compounds that. And I just call on fans to show a bit of patience here, because I think everyone knows that the squad isn't in the state that we want it to be in. The wing backs aren't there. Centre backs, we need improvement. We need some more creativity. And on top of that, we've got big injuries in terms of, obviously, Højbjerg and Romero missed one of the games. We've had Richarlison and Kulusevski out for a while, and there's no sign of them coming back. So the state of the squad is nowhere near where we want it to be. And out of everyone who we need to put our full trust in, that's Antonio Conte.
I was reading the ESPN article, and they were claiming that it happens a lot in Conte's tenures. They were claiming, I don't know if it's necessarily true, but they were claiming that it happens a lot when Conte starts managing a team, that they have like an injection when he first comes in and things improve dramatically, and then once things start to wane, they don't. It's very difficult for the tide to turn back the opposite way, and they were posing that things are starting to wane at Tottenham. With our style of play, they were claiming that the reason Man United didn't go for Conte was because of his short-term success, but doesn't really have longevity. And once results start to wane, the players start to get fatigued mentally, and then results start to go the other way, and it doesn't really turn. But aren't they very premature in saying we've hit that moment yet, just because we've hit a bit of bad form?
Of course,
you know what I mean?
Of course they are. I mean, I want them in that article to put a picture of the league table and put a picture of our Champions League group as well, because they won't do that. They're only going to talk about the last two performances in the league where we've lost 2 games against two good sides. You know what I mean? I think that when you're looking at our results as a whole this season, it hasn't been too bad. Like I said, third in the league and top of the Champions League group.
They said in the article we're starting to see at Tottenham now why Man United didn't go for Conte. Do you think that's true?
It's bollocks. It's absolute rubbish. Everything, all these media things, they just love to shit on Spurs consistently, time and time again. Conte's alluded to it in the past. I think Pochettino even made comments about it at some point. I mean, Jose made comments about it as well. I mean, they love to see us crumble. And with Antonio Conte at the helm, we need to just trust his way, and we need to give him the backing he so desperately needs. And you're going to see massive improvements. And once our players come back from injury as well, you're going to see massive improvements.
On the counterpoint, Carragher wrote an article in The Guardian, and the title, and I think you'll probably agree with this because we've spoken about it before. The title of the article is Antonio's biggest problem is Arsenal. And he's claiming that he thinks that Tottenham are on the right track and we're moving forward well. And even he claims in the article, even if Tottenham were to exit the Champions League on Tuesday, he would still not panic, and he would still think that Antonio Conte's Tottenham is still going in the right direction. And he doesn't think Tottenham should press the panic button, even if we were to exit the Champions League. But he's claiming that the biggest frustration with Tottenham fans right now is the fact that we see Arsenal playing such great football and getting results at the top of the Premier League, and the fact that we went to the Emirates and got well beaten, and that is leading to lots of frustration within the fan base as to why we at the moment are so hell-bent and playing a lot more pragmatic style, and even though we have a winner in charge, why we're maybe not throwing a bit more caution to the wind in the way we play and not being more offensive. So when Carragher says that, do you think we've discussed that potential problem on this channel before? But it's interesting to see it now being potentially picked up by mainstream pundits. Also, maybe take into consideration. But do you think if Arsenal weren't playing as well as they were, we would still be hearing boos at half time in these games?
No,
do you really think that wouldn't be the case?
No, maybe you'll hear boos, but it's like much less prominent that you've been hearing them in the past couple of weeks. But I completely agree. It's something I've been saying all season pretty much. And I think that even Spurs fans that were showing their discontent with the style of football, I don't think those groans would come because people are looking at Arsenal being like, wow, they're amazing. Arteta's finally getting the job done and he's playing amazing football, top of the league, blah, 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 blah. If Arsenal were finished sitting in 8th in the league right now and they were showing similar form to what they were showing last season, I don't think you would hear any of the discontent, really. Maybe a few murmurings, but, if we were comfortably above Arsenal, nobody would bat an eyelid, I don't think. I really believe that. And, Arsenal's performances have started to wane a little bit the last couple of weeks. Last 4 games have been pretty poor from them. So I think people need to remember that this season's it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. The season doesn't end when we go to the World Cup.
Not even halfway through.
Exactly. The season ends in May and there's a long way to go. We've got the chance to spend in January and bring in reinforcements, albeit so did the other clubs. So look, I think that Spurs fans need to remember not to be so reactionary. It doesn't help anyone. We need to support the team until the wheels do come off, because the wheels haven't come off yet. We've only had 2 losses here. Yeah,
and I agree. And I just find it incredible that we sit 3rd in the league, and when you get to the stadium, there just shouldn't be so much negativity. It should be excitement that maybe maybe we could get even closer to the top of the league. We're technically right now, and as much as okay, you can say we're not on a title challenge, blah blah blah, and long term you don't have to believe we're going to win the league to be excited about potentially closing the gap to teams in the top. And that's what we should be looking to and get excited about when we go to games, as opposed to being worried about what other teams are doing or the football could be better and all these different things. I feel like as a football fan, we should all be dreamers. You know what I mean? We should all be aiming for. I think football fans should be a bit delusional, and that delusion leads to excitement and leads to great support for the team in a way. And so I always find it frustrating when there's so much negativity when the team's in 3rd place and not even that far off the top. We're 5 points off top. So why are we not excited right now? Just because, okay, what a result or two is going against us right now. There should be excitement.
Teams go on runs, they go on poor. It's going to happen to everyone. It's going to happen, maybe not to Man City. Yeah. It's going to happen to Arsenal. It's going to happen to Chelsea. It's going to happen to Man United. You know what I mean? Teams go on good runs. Teams go on bad runs. So it's time to support the team right now, because right now we don't have any options to change it. So booing's not going to help anything. Cheering the team and supporting the team till the end is gonna impact stuff.
And they have to ignore these stupid articles from people trying to derail Conte already after a year.
But what do you say to this super chat from the Joracle? He says, if you tolerate Poch-era players' lack of responsibility, ability, effort and passion and backstabbing, you are Spursy and losing is only fitting for you.
If you tolerate Poch-era players' lack of responsibility, ability, effort and passion and backstabbing, you are Spursy. Well, Kane and Son are Poch-era players. I mean, I understand what he's saying. He's saying that there are players we should have moved on from already, and the fact they're still hanging around and holding us back,
which is true.
If you think these players are good enough long term, and you're not calling for them to be replaced, then you only have yourself to blame when they ultimately blow up in your face. Basically, I guess that's what he's saying. I kind of agree, but I think that's probably a good point. But while they're here, what am I supposed to do? Just keep hammering on them when we can't really, like, for example, if I say Dyer's not good enough, and there's a good case to say Dyer isn't good enough for where we want to be. We want to be challenging for titles, and Dyer's not a league-winning centre back.
I don't even think it's a good case. I think it's just facts of the matter.
All right, that's probably true. But if I say I want Dyer out of the team, and we take him out of the team, who's coming in? No one. We have Tanganga or we have Sanchez. You know what I mean? So I might as well support him to the best of my ability because he's the best we have right now. And same with some other. Same you could argue. I mean, maybe not with Dave. I mean, you could argue the same with Davis, or you could argue the same, definitely with Kane or Son. That's for sure. And even Lloris. That's the same with Lloris. I can say I want him dropped. He's not good enough. Blah blah blah. But who's coming in? Fraser Forster. So I have to support him. I have to give him all the support I can because he needs it right now. So. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, I want long term. Of course, I want these players replaced, but that's the best we have right now.
And like, don't get under no illusion. Like, Conte knows exactly where this team needs to go. He knows exactly the players that need replacing, but he's stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment. He's got these players and he's got no other options. Mm-hmm. So we have to persist with these players right now up until, at the very earliest January, probably until the summer.
Yeah.
So we have to, unfortunately, as much as it pains me to watch these players and players like Sanchez and Dyer to a certain extent and the players that have been here for that long and probably overstayed their welcome, we have to support them.
Yeah. And Jory again says, we still need to finish cleaning house and only then we will see Conte's real plan. Kane and Son are the only real keepers. I mean, from the Poch era.
Yeah, from that era.
That's probably right. I think Dyer could probably be a good rotational option at centre back, in my opinion. I don't think he's completely useless, like people say. I think he's been pretty good. First of all, last season was really consistent.
His performances have dropped off this season.
Yeah, they have. But
even before the last.
But maybe we're relying on him too much. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
You know what I mean? If he's in rotation, he might be better.
We got Conte here. Conte's aims are to win something, to win the league, win something big. Unfortunately, if you're going to be relying on Eric Dyer week in, week out, every single game, that's never going to happen.
Yeah. So he needs to be. We need definitely an upgrade on him. Obviously, right wing back, everyone knows that. We need that. Left centre back, as much as we brought in Longley and he's okay and Davis is decent, we need someone who's like Romero level there. We don't have that yet.
To be fair, I wish we had a few of the Poch players at right wing back that we just chucked away, like Trippier, even Serge Aurier. I think would be better.
They'll be better than what we have, now. But we need, we still need someone like even better than them.
Yeah.
Centre mid, I like Højbjerg, Bentancur, Skip and Basuma. I like all four of them, but we need as well, in addition to them, I think they're good enough for what we need. I just think we need another creative, someone who's like.
We need to sprinkle a bit of Maddison in there.
Yeah, exactly. We just need someone who's as good as them defensively on the ball. You know what I mean? We need someone who's as good as Højbjerg off the ball, on the ball. Like someone whose forte is their passing and their ability on the ball. We just don't have that at the moment.
You never know. Ruben Neves could actually be gettable in January the way Wolves are going.
Yeah, I'd love Ruben Neves. I think he would be a greater player to have. And then on the forward line, obviously we have good forward options. We just need another option up front so we can rest Kane when we need to and provide another option there.
Another two,
or probably. Well, we have. I would say we need another one to cover Kulusevski on the right. At the left, we have Richarlison and Son, and so another two. One to cover Kane and one to cover Kulusevski.
Unless Brian Hill can explode, but
so I'd say probably another two. So I mean, So there's a lot of work to be done. We couldn't do it all in one summer, but the frustration is we could have done more than we did in that summer.
And to all the Spurs fans, booing the team and booing Conte and talking about Conte this, Conte out. Name me one manager that's going to come in with this set of players without, investment and do better than what he's doing right now. Because
he got us back in the Champions League in a few months.
I can't tell you one manager that can come in right now and do better than what Conte is doing right now.
And get us in being third, you know what I mean, after this stage of the season. So I completely agree with that. I completely agree. And I think the frustration more with the summer wasn't that we didn't get everything done. It's just the fact that we could have done more. We all know that. We could have done at least one more signing, whether that be a centre-back, a striker. Yeah, I know, but the very least one. You know what I mean? We went 2 months without signing a month, 6 weeks without signing a player. Our last signing was Spence, wasn't it, in July? So we went 6 weeks, we didn't get one player. So clearly we could have done more. That's the big frustration. But I don't think it's realistic to say we could have done everything. Everything we just said, centre-back, right wing-back, centre-mid, 2 strikers, that's 5 players. Obviously, I'm not expecting another 5 players last summer, but 1 or 2, I think that's not unreasonable.
Yeah, and no, I think we could have brought in another 2 players at least, to be honest. I mean, we got all our business done so early.
Yeah.
So we went through like 2 months of not doing anything in the summer, didn't we?
Yeah, that's the big frustration. But so we could have been a bit further along, but we were never going to be the finished article last summer. I think we all could accept that.
Jory as well with another super chat. He says, contemplate this. Give Conte what he asked for and he will win. It's so simple, really, but somehow beyond this club to do. I mean, yes, I think that is so simple and beyond this. And yeah, maybe the club overlooked that a little bit in the summer, but like you say, you're never going to get everything done in one window. And I think everyone that comes on...
And Conte said that himself.
And everyone that comes on, right, accepts that reason, but then still goes in on Conte and still goes in on the club for not getting the job done. But everyone knows that this was supposed to be something spread out over a few windows.
Maybe it's just also borne out of the fact that Conte still hasn't signed that contract.
Definitely.
And that is also playing into the fact that... Well, he's calling for patience, but
it's a problem.
How can we have? I guess they're saying, how can he have patience if he doesn't have patience?
Yeah.
But he's calling for patience, but then he hasn't signed the contract. So, is he? What is? People say actions speak louder than words, and his actions haven't. He hasn't signed it. But then again, I don't really. But then again, we're not in the boardroom. We don't know what's going on. Is he been offered one yet? Is there negotiations? So it's hard to say it's his fault that he hasn't signed a contract. We don't know the situation. But as fans, I guess there's always going to be that anxiety about the whole situation as long as his contract's still running out at the end of the season.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's our take on the whole situation at the moment.
I want to know fans' opinions.
Yeah,
on it.
we'll get them on, and we've got a caller waiting to speak to us, and he goes by the name of Ashmatic.
Yes, people.
Ashmatic, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, bro, I'm good.
Nice to see you, my
How
friend.
am I looking?
Yeah, you're looking good. Look, good as always, my friend. Come on.
I drew that out, man. I drew you out still.
So tell me, obviously, first of all, let's get your opinions on what we were talking about before, just about Conte. Like, there seems to be a narrative at the moment being spun by the media that the wheels are starting to fall off. Obviously, with the fans booing, that plays into that narrative. But what's your opinion right now on Conte's tenure? Are you worried potentially about things starting to fall away? Are the wheels starting to fall off? Or do you think that's completely an overreaction to some recent bad results?
In terms of fans, I think they're frustrated because it's not just Conte, it's before. So you've got manager of Nuno, obviously not doing well, the board getting it wrong. And before Nuno, you've got Mourinho, he was in charge. And then you have Poch. So I think even before the Poch era, I think it was the lack of trophies, the lack of ambition, the lack of money spent on the club. So I don't think it's just purely down to Conte why fans are booing. I think it's a frustration of fans that under Mourinho we were willing to see not so exciting football, and then nothing came of it. Now we're into Conte's era, and it's like a similar thing. It's like almost like Conte's taking his mask off, and then Mourinho's underneath, like gotcha. Like that's what fans are feeling like. Oh my days, not this again. But I think it's more of the frustration is coming out a lot more, especially when we're playing pragmatic and then the style of play isn't going with it. I think lots of fans can forgive bad results, but if the style of play, you're not being entertained and you're paying to watch your team play, and obviously the Spurs style of football is attacking. We don't really, that's not our style. It's not in our DNA to kind of be pragmatic. We're more of a flair kind of club. So I think that's where the disgruntled fans start to come in and start booing. So I don't necessarily think it's all Conte, albeit is the style of football, but I think it's the added fact that, a lack of trophies and the ambition from the board above that's really getting to the actual fans like Levy and Enoch. It's really playing. But sorry to cut you. Just to address the you said about the narrative. I think there is a narrative with the media because Conte is such a massive manager. I feel like loads of teams, lots of pundits, they belong to like Liverpool. You got like Carragher's Liverpool. You got Gary Neville. He's Man United. Ferdinand's Man United. You got loads of like pundits. They belong to like these top 4, top 6 clubs, and a lot of the people that write the papers, they're fans of other clubs, so they don't like the fact that Spurs have Conte. So for that reason, there's a motive to spin a narrative, get Conte out. So as soon as they see fans booing, they're gonna jump on top of that. So I think that's another reason why it feels like, oh look, all these people hate Spurs and they want Conte out because they're really afraid of Conte and what he could bring for Spurs in the future, because they know it's a matter of time before we start winning trophies. It's just a matter of time. And one more thing before I switch before you jump in, I just feel that with Pochettino, with his 4 years, he started with us with a high press, high energy, a young side. That was possible. Towards the tenure of his career, towards the end of his managerial career, you saw him start to adopt more of what Conte is doing. He said sometimes we would press and sit back, and sometimes we would go for it. So sometimes we'd press high and sometimes we'd sit back. And because he just knew the players were slightly older, and he said there's no point having a lovely house and no good new furniture inside it. So I feel like he was saying we need to change. So it wasn't just Conte calling for new signings, and like he's always, everywhere he goes when he's at a new club, he does the same thing. When things don't go his way, dummy comes out, where's my new signings? I need new signings. I think like before him, Poch was saying that, and then even when Mourinho was in charge, even he alluded to, he said, look, what's going on is beyond my coaching powers, meaning that something's going on inside the players' heads, mentally wise. They may be tired, and some of them were complaining that they were underworked, saying that the training sessions were too underwhelming. So I don't know if with Conte, he's conscious of the training sessions. Remember when he first came in, he was giving us double sessions. We were the highest team in running stats, etc. So I don't know if Conte subconsciously thought, you know what, we're getting twice as many games. We're in Champions League, which is a high level. We're in Premier League, that's a high level. I need to manage the game. Even that you alluded to what Louise saying, how we can't press the whole 90 minutes. We're going to have to sit back in certain periods, and we're going to have to manage the game, and then we'll come out a bit stronger. I honestly think when Conte said, Premier League's a high level, there's no days off, he was trying to manage his team the best way he knew to avoid injuries and to keep the performance level high. So that's my honest opinion about the whole situation, what's going on. But yeah, obviously we do need a change of a few new faces just to freshen things up a little bit more. Sorry, carry on, man.
You make some good points, but in terms of like when you talk about fans, for example, like the second half against Lisbon, we were pressed very high pretty much that whole second half, and we were all over them, we were suffocating them, we create loads of chances, we should have got 2 goals, and then fans say, why can't we play like that for the whole 90 minutes? Why are we coming out in the first half like what we did and we can't play like this for the whole 90 minutes? Do you think it's understandable that we can't play like that for 90 minutes, or do you also have the same annoyance that so we go through those periods?
No, I personally think it's the style of play, certain players' personality, and it's the way they look at football. So when I was at the game, I was watching Højbjerg and Bentancur. When they get the ball into feet, I saw Dyer pass it into them short. But when they get the ball and when they receive it, their back is to the goal. Does that make sense? Their back is to the opposition's goal. Yeah. So when you're square, you have to pass backwards or sideways. They're not on the half turn. If you're on the half turn, like a Fabregas, if you're on a half turn, then you can make the forward pass. You can see the wing backs running in. There's a lot of space that I saw Doherty had. Doherty had a lot of space. And I thought, is it a thing they don't trust Doherty? Is that why they're not giving it to him? Because he's got so much space. And also, we don't have a player that can switch the ball like 1, 2, 3 passes, 2, 3 short passes, and then switch, boom, into the wing back. Because that's what it needs to be. That's the speed of play it needs to be, and that's not happening. So I heard you mention Ruben Neves. He's a good player that can switch the ball. We used to have Carrick that could switch the ball, and then I remember we had what's his face? Where's it? Huddleston. We had Tom Humberton, Ericsson, Huddleston. They could switch the ball, boom, boom, boom. Højbjerg is good at doing it. He's our best long ball next to Eric Dyer as a best long ball specialist. I just want to see them do it a little bit more. When there's like, we're going to play a team like Brighton, that's going to be very compact. So you're going to need to switch to play because they're going to be, like you said, on one side a lot of the time. So you need to switch it from flank to flank. The quicker you can switch it from flank to flank, the quicker you can open them up because you have to beat the lines. The only way you beat the lines is if you have a person in the middle of the park, like we used to have with Dembele, someone that can carry the ball. If no one can carry the ball forward and get in between the lines, like the lines where you're either in between the 2 strikers or the 3 forwards, or you're in between the midfield and defense, and you're picking up that pocket of space, what Kane does. If a midfielder is able to do that, Kane hasn't got to drop back into that space. Kane can stay up front and we can find Kane. Because when I was watching it, there wasn't a lot of forward movement from the front 3 at the start. You had Lucas, you had Kane and Son. I just wanted to see a little bit more movement from those 3, because sometimes the player's on the ball and he's like, wow, I can't pass it into them because they're being marked. I don't see any gaps or any spaces. So that's what was slowing down our football at times. And sometimes also as well, I didn't find that we didn't have a passage of play where we're having 3 or 4 passes together, just holding onto the ball, kind of, frustrating the opposition. Sometimes it's just good to hold on to the ball and just play possession football. Sometimes we just don't look like a side that holds onto the ball too well, in my opinion. And I think that's the reason why in the first half we created very little, and fans got frustrated and ended up booing. So I'm not saying that like we have to press for the whole 90 minutes. Yes, that's not realistic, and fans need to. We don't have a young squad like that where they can press for 90 minutes non-stop. Yeah. So that's just my take on it. I just think we need a ball carrier. And also, when the wing back had the ball, they're not taking on the defender. They're not taking on the opposition defender. I thought the whole point of a wing back was to create the 1v1 and take him on. And if you can't do the 1v1 to take him on, wouldn't you ask Son to help you out to make a 2v1? Or whoever's on the left-hand side, if Højbjerg's on the left side of the midfielder, then he would come over and he would make a 2v1 versus one of their fullbacks. And then the centre-back says, what, do I help him out or do I leave him to be isolated? Do you know what I mean? And then we get more joy on the left side or on the right side if it's Doherty and Kane, or Doherty and Lucas, or Doherty and Bentancur. But I just feel like sometimes there's no initiative to create that kind of overload on a left side or on a right side. So that's another thing I noticed when I was at the game. I didn't see any 2v1s in the first half a lot. And it might be 1 or 2 occasions, but it could have been the only time I saw Spurs really do something is if Son dropped, or if Højbjerg picked the ball up and he started driving a bit, or Bentancur was a bit tidy and neat with his passing and was a bit more adventurous and took a bit more risk. But if you don't take risk and you don't play that ball with pace into and you're playing it safe all the time,
Yeah.
the fans are going to get frustrated. We're like, we want to see exciting football. We want to see either crisp passing, ball into feet, 1v1s. You want your wing backs to attack the wingers, to attack the fullbacks, attack the centre halves, and that's not happening. And even if they come inside, if the wing back came inside and had a shot, even that's acceptable. I don't mind that having a shot and it ricocheting of one of the defenders, it lands to Son or Kane, and it happens. Or Son goes on the wide player areas and just mixes it up, and then the wing back comes inside. And I just didn't see enough of that in the first half, and I just feel like it takes a halftime talk for then in the second half we start to see things like that, like Brian Hill coming on and he's doing diagonal balls, he's coming inside a lot, he's playing like a 10, and then Lucas is pushing a bit wider now, he's hugging the touchline, and then all of a sudden we just push it, we just look forward, and then Romero's even enjoying the attack. Romero's up in their face. Like I see Romero playing a striker, midfielder and centre back when we were playing Sporting, and it's frustrating because we're at home. You expect the players to be on it, because at the start of the game the atmosphere was electric, the fans were on it, so there was no need for them to be nervous going into that game. Like Sporting were very passive until the goal. There wasn't really much happening from them, and then they got that confidence, and then all of a sudden. So yeah, that's my take on the whole fan situation. Them saying, they can't expect the team to be 90 minutes, but they can expect, just a better performance.
Yeah. Just quickly, Ashmatic, on the game on Saturday. You spoke about Brian Hill. Does he get a start for you, or do you think it's still not the time?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because Brian Hill, I did say to you before, I would like to see him as a 10, because I did see him in that position before. I just feel when he's wider, he's more prone to make mistakes. But when he's in the middle of the park, he links up a little bit better with the strikers and he makes things happen. But I still think I would be reserved to bring him on. I like the fact you can bring him on and he brings on that energy. And I know that they're going to be very pragmatic, very stubborn in their approach. They're going to put, 2 lines of back 4 against us. They're going to be very narrow. They're going to be hard to break down. And I do understand, like, maybe having him to start with, we start fast and we try to break him down. But I just think the current team that we have, there's nothing wrong with the team that we actually have right now. They should be able to, they have enough in them, in their locker, to break down a team like them, like Bournemouth. I just think Hill on the bench, you bring him on and he's going to, they can't do it for 90 minutes. You know what I mean? They try to defend for the whole 90 minutes. But if you bring on a Brian Hill, against tired legs, 70 minutes, 60 minutes in, they're gonna be like, it's a new problem to thinking about. They're like, oh my god, like midfield. I mean, defenders hate players that can carry ball. That they hate players that run at them or that can carry the ball or that can dribble. They hate it. They hate running backwards. They hate it. Absolutely hate it. I'm a defender myself, so I know, like, when someone's running at me, I'm like, oh man, it's tricky. You don't know whether to pick him up or if the midfield should pick him up, if he should stay with him. And as soon as that panic happens, holes start appearing everywhere. That's how you beat the press. And Conte knows it. He knows that. That's why he liked players, physical players, and players that can run with the ball, because he likes players that can break the lines. So I think Brian Hill, again, I wouldn't start with. I would love it. I would love to see it, but I don't think he would start with him. I think he would bring him on, and I respect that decision if he did do that. Yeah.
Score prediction, Ashmatic?
1-0. 1-0 Spurs. 1-0 Spurs, obviously. Kane penalty.
Let's hope not. Well, to be honest, I'll take it right now, to be honest. I would.
I should be super optimistic, right? I should say like 3-0 or like 3-1. Because
I thought you meant 3-0 Brian Hill hat-trick, right?
Exactly. When we played Forest, like, they played much better than us away from home. I thought they played much better than us, but the chances we had, we took. Perisic, like, for me, like, I remember in that game, he didn't do enough in that game, and then this game here, he probably will get rested. Actually, Sessegnon will have a go, but from Perry, I would like him to do 1v1s a bit more, because when he did do a 1v1, he put the Lisbon player on his bum. he almost broke his ankles. He put him on his bum, and I was like, yeah, this is it. This is the moment. He's gonna do 1v1s now. And he just like he gets to a certain position and he wants to cross it. I just get disappointed. I'm an old school, old fashioned. I like to see my players dribble. I like to see them beat their man. Beat your man. It's not hard, innit? Don't be shook. Don't be a pum. Just go for it. So yeah, man, it's I don't know. It's the way I see football. But I I just think, you know what it is? It's just the back of the nerves of the last couple games, poor performances. They know they're going to need to come out, but I just feel like we're going to try and start fast and we're going to get frustrated. And then it's going to just take something in the second half. And we're going to be like, oh, look, we didn't come out fast again. Yeah. Or what happens is we get an early goal and then the second half we slow down and when we just try to, and then they come onto us and then it's going to be one of those games, I feel. Could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we blow them away, but yeah. We shall see, man. We shall see.
All right. Nice one. Ashmatic, good to see you, mate.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Up the Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. We've got a super chat here from Scott Franklin saying we can press for 90 minutes. We've got 5 subs. You're telling me Lucas, Hill, Rishi and Spence on at 65 wouldn't mean we couldn't press for a full game. I mean, Rishi's injured. I mean, Kulusevski and Richarlison have both been confirmed out for the game this weekend. But do you think Scott Franklin has a case there?
But the other teams also have 5 subs, I guess. Look, I think we can't press as intensely as we used to, and especially with the forward players. Apart from Kulusevski and Richarlison, like Son and Kane, I don't know if they have the legs to press for 90 minutes like they used to. So it's difficult. But I see what you're saying. But then you're, if you do that, then you're taking off Kane and Son after 65 minutes, and is that what you want as well? So it's a difficult balancing act, I guess.
Absolutely. But let's move on to our next caller, and it's Marlon, everyone. Yes, Marlon, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How are you both?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Trying to stay positive. Massive game this weekend, isn't it?
Big game. But it's more a big game for performance. We need to see a performance. You know, we have better players than Bournemouth. We need to see something. We need to see a reaction. We just haven't seen it. We have not seen it for a while. And that's the biggest problem right now.
Yeah, you say, it's more of a need for a performance than a result. But, I mean, if we don't get a result and put in a bit of a performance tomorrow, all of a sudden we could be 8 points behind Arsenal.
Yes, yeah. But I think as for the season now, we've just got to concentrate on ourselves. We can't be thinking about what's in front, what's behind. We've had a bad week or so. And I know everyone's been talking about Conte and everything like that. But I think as for the players, it's, the last couple of performances look very, very familiar to when they started to let Mourinho down. And that's the worrying thing. And I think Conte at the moment, I'd rather see the players go before Conte, if I'm going to be completely honest. But we just can't be heading in that direction again. And I think as fans, we've been here before. We've seen it happen. We can see it unraveling. And that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, and it's like I've heard a report. I mean, I don't know how true it is or how not true it is, but you always seem to hear these kind of things come out before a manager leaves. And the report was, the Spurs players feel like they're working too hard in training and running too much before a game and stuff like that. I mean, we've heard it under Poch saying being overworked. We heard it under Jose Mourinho saying underworked, and now we're hearing it again. I mean, are these the signs?
It is the signs, and that's what I think. Once that headline came out, it was kind of like, oh my God, here we go again. We've been here before. And, this is what I'm saying. That's why I'd rather see Conte stay than the players, because if the players can't handle it, let them go to a club where they don't have to put in the hard work, where they don't have to turn up every week and, put a performance in. Let them go and sail off into the sunset. Let's go get Conte players that want to work hard and want to actually move this club forward.
But what do you make out of the narrative maybe forming in the media about Conte, about Spurs, and even the booing in the stands as well?
Well, let's be honest. The booing in the stands it's right. And when I say it's right, it's in the sense of people are paying a lot of money to watch that. It wasn't cheap for a lot of people to go on Wednesday, and that performance in the first half and the last few games, you have to, if you went to a top quality restaurant and you got served egg, chips, and beans and it was bad quality, you're gonna complain. Let's be honest. And that's the
Yeah.
bit at the moment. The players are just not putting it in. That's all we want to see as a fans. We just want to see you put it in. The results actually at the moment are secondary. And that's what, and we know they're good enough. We know they can, and I think last week Conte had said these players are good enough for 1 game a week, but not 2. Well, what was the point of qualifying for the Champions League and playing them? Because there's no point if they're only good for 1 game a week.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is he needs investment into this squad, and whether you
Big
think
time.
whether you think we got the investment in the summer, we still left ourselves way too short for this season, didn't we?
Oh, definitely. And you just look at our attacking options. The fact we're relying on a player now, and Brian Hill, bless him, he came on and played really well when he came on, and he changed the whole narrative. He actually put us on the front foot, and he wanted to attack. But what must be going through his head? Conte didn't want him. Conte wanted him gone, and we only kept him because we couldn't get a player to replace him. And that's where we're at. How can it take 2 injuries and we've got no attacking flair on the bench?
Yeah.
Who did not see this coming? Like, you have to ask yourself, is it down to Paratici? Is it down to Levy? There's a lot of questions to be answered. Because it shouldn't take Kulu and Richarlison being out and us to go, well, where do we go from here?
No, absolutely spot on. And when you're talking about Brian Hill, does he get a start for you tomorrow?
I thought long and hard about this. I personally would say no. I'd love to see him on the 60th minute, see how things are going, and then bring him on. Just in case, because we need a plan B, and he's our plan B at the moment. If you go and stick plan B on there, who do you bring on after that? If it doesn't, it depends on what formation he goes with. If he goes with 3-5-2 and he plays Basuma, then yeah, I think Hill should come on for the last half an hour. If he goes 3-4-3, I personally would just give Lucas another try. It ain't gonna hurt. It is Bournemouth. He is coming back from an injury, but again, Hill has got to either. I think give Hill the last half an hour for me. Don't just throw him into the Lions then. Not just yet.
And which setup would you like to see? 3-4-3 or 3-5-2?
I probably would go for 3-5-2. I'd probably play Basuma, just because he didn't play midweek. And just the problem is it is Bournemouth. And I shouldn't be saying it like that, but it is Bournemouth.
See, I hate it when people say that, because that's a guaranteed loss right there.
This is what I'm saying. And I'm proper worried about tomorrow. I'm really worried because I think the players will go with the same attitude as they did on Wednesday, because that was a must-win game, and they didn't. They had 2 bad performances before it. What did Conte need to say to them to make them perform? He didn't have to say nothing, but yet they still went out, and it took till half time for them to actually turn up. But yeah, I think he should probably go 5-3-2, see how it goes for the first 60 minutes. If it's not working, then bring on Hill. And actually, what I thought was really clever of Conte on Wednesday was Hill, he started on the right, but if you notice, he moved a lot into the middle and played behind Son and Kane, and that's where he got most of his joy. He was, and I think that could be a key position where he could be that player to play behind the striker and try and open it up, because he's got very good feet. But the Premier League is a different animal to the Champions League, and that's the only bit that really worries me about Hill.
Interesting.
He was asked actually in his press conference today, Conte, who is Hill most similar to like in the Premier League, and his answer was Bernardo Silva, but Bernardo Silva is just a bit more physical right now than Hill. Would you agree with that? Is that where you see Brian Hill's position?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think Conte's got that one spot on. And it is probably the physical part, but we can all say that. We've seen that from the day we signed him. We all said he needs to bulk up, he needs to be a bit more physical. But the other thing is, if he's not getting the chance to play in the Premier League, how's he going to learn? How is he going to get more physical? He needs to be playing regular minutes. There's so many times this season where he could have come on for the last 10-15 minutes, especially when we've been winning. They're the best time. And like when we played Leicester, when we played Everton, there was time for him to come on in those last 10 minutes and see what he could do. But the only time he's actually trusted him is in the Champions League, when our backs are up against the wall. And it's kind of like, he's done well in the Champions League, and he's more, the way Hill plays, he's more for the European competitions than he probably is for the Premier League. But you've got to give him some game time. You have to.
Marlon, what's your score prediction tomorrow?
1-0.
1-0. Everyone's going 1-0. Everyone's going 1-0.
I have to, because I can't see where our creative spark's going to come from. Like, it doesn't matter if he plays Emerson or Doherty, they're both going to give you exactly the same. Like, everyone's sitting there going, play Spence, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter between, it's not that right wing back situation that's causing the issue. I think we've got an issue on the left. We've got no creative spark anywhere on that pitch. So for me, it doesn't matter who he plays on that right or left. It's just a case of, let's grind out the result tomorrow. I think it's going to be very similar to how we played against Brighton. And that's why I'm thinking 1-0, because we got off quite early and then we just kind of sat on it.
All right. Big up, Marlon. Thanks for coming on today, my friend.
No problem, guys.
And
cheers.
Let's hope for 3 points tomorrow, man.
We need it. We need it. Come on, Spurs. Come on, we need it.
Come on.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, Marlon.
Conte has been speaking in his press conference, and he's talking about Romero and Højbjerg playing in midweek, and he says we have taken big risk for this decision, especially with Romero, because he was really tired and we risked him a lot. But for this time of game, you have to take risks, and he can give us the availability to play. Now we have to manage him very well because he played and finished the game with great will and desire. I had to thank him and Pierre. I think Kuti needed to recover better, but Pierre is okay 100%. Kuti is okay, but we have another important game Tuesday, and for this reason we have to try and make the best decision for him.
That makes me feel like Romero's not going to play.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like Pierre is okay though, which is good. But it sounds like Romero probably isn't going to start tomorrow.
So they're going to save him for the Champions League game. So get ready for Davinson Sanchez, people. Super chat here from Christian Soto saying, love this show so much. Much love from Arizona. And we got a super chat here from Scott Franklin, but he's retracted the message. So thank you for the super chat anyway. And we've got Brian Daigle coming on next. Let's get the Daigle on. How you doing, Brian?
Good. I'm good. I'm good. I hope you both are well and everyone in the chat. How are we doing?
Not too bad at all. Obviously looking forward to the game tomorrow and hoping for 3 points, obviously. But how are you assessing the game tomorrow?
I'm a bit more concerned. You just read that what Simeon just read. It goes to show just how thin we are at the moment through injuries or lack of investment, whatever. I do want to see Brian Hill. And I've heard you going back and forth. Like yesterday when we were on the Irish, I was on with Jory, and it was like, do we play a 3-4-3? Would I play him in it? Yes. And also, as you guys know, I've been a big fan or big advocate of wanting to play 3-5-2. And I said the three I wanted to play was Bissouma and Højbjerg and Bentancur to try and suffocate the midfield. Well, we've seen in halves like at Everton and Leicester it's worked, but when we've tried it the full game, it hasn't seemed to work. So maybe it is the time to play three with one of the three being an attacking one. And maybe Brian Hill can be that man, because maybe that may be the thing that unlocks everything, that little bit of creativity. So either way we go, I think if you look at it, Bissouma's been given his chances and he hasn't really taken them, has he? But he earned that start against United after a very good solid performance against Everton, or a second half performance. I think the same goes with Brian Hill. He had a solid performance. He deserves a chance to start.
But with Brian Hill being on the bet, starting, shall I say, does that leave us with a lack of options maybe to come off the bench to change things later on?
Ben, I think this is where we are now because of these injuries and everything. That's what's happened. By hook or by crook, whatever way you want to go, whoever you want to blame, that's where we are. And right now, we need to stop this run of defeats in the league. And we look so devoid of creativity. We're just like, where the hell is it coming from? Not saying Brian Hill's going to all of a sudden light us up, but at least when he gets the ball, he does want to run forward. He does want to try and take on a man. He does want to try and do what no one in this team apart from Kane can do. Son can do it, obviously, but we're not seeing it, are we? We're just not seeing it. So maybe it is time to start with a fresh tactic. And the one thing, like Marlon said about Bournemouth, what you got to remember is since Bournemouth got battered 9-0 by Liverpool, they've been great. They deserve a lot of credit for the football they've been playing. They still haven't appointed a full-time manager, but they could have really got into their shells and gone ultra defensive and thought, oh, sugar, we need to stay in this league. They've done anything but. Whereas we, after performance, say we need something different. We just haven't, have we?
No, but I think you got to take into account as well. I mean, yeah, they had a good run under Gary O'Neill, but they have now lost their last two games against Southampton and West Ham without scoring a goal. So maybe their current form maybe does play into our hands a little bit.
maybe, or we have the Dr. Tottenham thing come into it. But I hope not.
Don't mention that, doctor. I didn't ask for a prescription today.
Oh, sorry. I was giving you. I thought you sent me one for a repeat one. Sorry, sir. So we'll avoid that. But the one thing I do want to talk about, actually, just very quickly, I don't want to make this a whole thing, is when I woke up and I tuned in, I saw you and Tim having this debate about or discussing the who we blaming the manager that are giving Conte time. First of all, I think those boos were solely at the players, not Conte. If anyone's booing Conte, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. We all know when it's aimed at the manager. Do you remember when we were at United together and Mora came off and the whole crowd started saying, "You don't know what you're doing"? That's at the management. That's at the management. They're booing the performances because they are so much better than what they are giving us. Whether Conte's told them to do this, come on, these are professional footballers that know how to play football and know what they're doing, and the performances aren't just aren't right. And when it comes to when you said about giving Conte time, I will give Conte all the time. If he said it needs 5 windows, I will give him 5 windows. But what I won't accept is him not getting the players he wants. I understand Bastoni, so we're not going to go down that road. But when he wanted certain players, get those players in. And if you look at it when you go back, under Pochettino, when he wanted Schneiderlin, but we got Stanford and things like that, they're cheap copies. Then you look at Mourinho, and with Mourinho, we all know that he needs hundreds of millions of pounds. That's his MO. We all know his MO. He wasn't going to get that at Tottenham. It wasn't going to be a fit. So that happened. Then we had Nuno, and then you look at it and you try to give him patience. We all know that Jed Spence wasn't Conte's first choice, and that happened. So that's where I think the patience, or with me, my patience has gone in faith and belief. But when we get told this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and then you see things like that, for people unlike myself, it's kind of like, well, why is Mourinho in if he's going to spend hundreds of... We know what his blueprint is everywhere he goes, and he doesn't get it. It's just a shame. And like I said, I was talking on the Irish Hospital yesterday, and when this question kept coming about, if you could buy one player, who would it be? And me, I'm saying Skriniar. And if we just signed Skriniar this window, I would say, Joe, that's a damn good window, because we've actually identified a key area that we need, and we went and bought a top draw player in that position that automatically fits into that first team. None of this, oh, well, he might take a little while. You sign a Skriniar, he goes in, and he does make a difference immediately. I'd rather get one Skriniar than 2 or 3 bit part players with whatever money. So this is what we've got to do with this window. We have to identify and obtain real quality.
Would you take signing a Skriniar and no one else if it meant just having to rely on Emerson and Doherty again next season?
Well, this is the thing. That depends if Spence goes out. If Spence goes, because I honestly believe if Spence is still here and after the Winter World Cup, and he's had a real good look at Spence and had loads of time to focus on Spence, and who knows, he may start against Forest and prove his point immediately on his old stomping ground. Then maybe he'll go like, oh, wait a minute, I could do something with him within a month and start playing him. If he does go out on loan, then we do need someone. So I would say if he did go, I'd want Skriniar on the right back. As much as we need creativity, and I get that, but I think once Kulusevski's back, if Brian Hill's still here and takes his position and does it well, then at least there's cover. We know right now our defence, having Davinson Sanchez and other people as cover, is simply not good enough. And we've seen how shaky our defence has been. We need that rock solid, demanding battler of a defender that will come in and just set standards. And I think that's Skriniar. I really do.
Moving on to the game tomorrow, how confident are you going into it?
So after the United game, I said to myself, I've got to stop doing what I do, or I say we all go on these platforms and we all go on multiple channels and we say stuff, and I said I've got to help myself accountable. When we keep saying, do you know what? Now's a better time to play them. Now we're stronger. This is the best time to play them. We give them all the positives, and then we see shit performances. So I've kind of said I'm not going to be this guy anymore. I go, oh yeah, great time to play them. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. So the last couple of games, I said we're either going to win 2-1 or draw 1-1. I'm going to up that by 1. So I'm going to say we're either going to draw 2-2 or win 3-1. That's my new thing. I can't sit here now and just say we're going to win, we're going to win, we're going to win, because the players haven't warranted the faith in them. I always stand by them and have my faith and trust them, but the performances have or the results have not lived up to what we've all been saying. So I'm going 2-2 or 3-1.
Yeah, you say 2-2 or 3-1. Which one's the heart? Which one's the head?
The heart's 3-1, unfortunately. The heart is 3-1, unfortunately. I wish it wasn't. I'd love to come on here and say my heart and head say the same thing, but I just don't think the performances have warranted it right now. But hopefully, after tomorrow's performance, they can start to warrant it.
Let's hope so, man. Let's hope so. I mean, there's not a lot of games left until the World Cup now, so we just need to pick up as many points as we possibly can until then. But Brian, do you want to tell people about the show we got going on tonight?
Yes, I can indeed. Christian mentioned it. For anyone that doesn't know, anyone that lives on the States or other parts of the world where Good Morning Tottenham isn't available to you because you're asleep or work commitments, whatever, every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and 1 a.m. UK time, myself, and today it'll be Bobby K, because Brian Ireland's doing a gig in Niagara Falls, have a show especially for you on this wonderful channel called The Late Late Show, which is basically a carbon copy of this kind of format where we'll have a little discussion and we'll bring guests on. And it's a really, really good show. There's a really good chat going on with the people joining in. And we're going live tonight at 8 p.m, like I said. And yeah, anyone's more than welcome, and come and join us.
Awesome. So that's 8 p.m. Your time and 1 a.m. UK time if you are still up at 1 a.m. So yeah, look forward to that. Join in the Late Late Show tonight. It's going to be a good one. But Brian, thank you so much for coming on today, mate, and we'll see you next time.
Nice
always a pleasure. And as always, Levy out.
See you later, Brian. Let's keep going, guys. Who do we have next? And it's it's KPV. How you doing, KPV?
All good. Forget Wednesday, on to Saturday. Just been having a chat with Brian Daigle on WhatsApp, and time to scrap that crappy VAR. Hopefully it won't happen tomorrow. Hopefully it's not going to happen the same as tomorrow. But as I say, hopefully that twat ref is not in the VAR officials tomorrow, because if
he won't be, because he's a Dutch ref.
Well, yeah, that's because the Dutch twats didn't want us to win. And big up to Højbjerg for not shaking his hand. As I put in the Instagram group chat, apparently Højbjerg said, I'm not going to fucking shake your hand at the end of the game with. So big up the Viking and legend already. So yeah, Bournemouth away, I think every time we go there, we always seem to win. When they first came to the Premier League, that was under Eddie Howe. We beat them, twice in a 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, 3 seasons in a trot. We've done a double over them. And just so you know, Son didn't get sent off as well. It was also Van Foy.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, he's
down to 9 men.
The substitute. So everyone tomorrow, please keep Son away from Lerma, because you know what's going to happen. He's going to get sent off again. So bear in mind, people, keep Son away from that twat Lerma. Keep him away.
Would you play Brian Hill? Go on. If you were playing what?
I played Brian Hill ahead of Son, because you don't want another red card for Son. That would be 4 in a row then, because Kane's the only one who hasn't been sent off. He almost got sent off against Liverpool last season at home, but no, he didn't. But Son's only have been sent off 3 times in the league, but no more. So I'd start Brian Hill. Messi, it's time to give him a start. Start him. He was brilliant the last 2 home Champions League games, Frankfurt and Lisbon. So I'd start him. Everyone wants him to start. I know Conte won't. He'll probably start Lucas ahead of him. But when Kulu comes back, there's no way he'll start ahead of Kulu, because there's no way he will. If that does happen, then where are we going to play Kulu then? Where are we going to play him?
Yeah, I'm not sure. What's your prediction, Kyle?
Oh my God, I get every prediction wrong. As you guys done to predict the Prem, I put 3-0 Tottenham because they haven't scored a goal. Bournemouth the last 2 games they haven't. So I just put 3-0 Tottenham, and but and I've done the star man differently. Forget Harry Kane. I'm not going to put him anymore. He's let me down. But so I put Elmer on as the star man. So yeah, and I've done my free hit and I put him in. So Elmer on getting a point, and I need. So tomorrow I say 3-0. Like Kane loves a goal against Bournemouth. I think he's got 5 or 6 against them. So Son, but the last time he beat Bournemouth, I actually went to that game. It was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 3-2. 2 from Ali and 1 from Musa to Soul Train. But like we drew 0-0 2 years ago during the pandemic. Like we should have won that game, but we were shit that time and they got relegated, unfortunately. But
Let's hope
they're
it's different
bad.
this time, Carl.
I
Big up,
hope
Carl.
so, man.
Nice one.
And I'm off, so I will see you all hopefully on Sunday. But before I go, what's the code to join your £10 mini league, mate?
It's a free league this week, Carl. Just type in WATTV on BetMate. You're talking about BetMate.
I think he's talking about the £10 FPL league.
Oh, FPL league.
That's already started, Carl. There's no more entries into that.
Oh shit! Like, I've got a bit of a problem with BetMate, as you know, because something's going on with my card. I can't join it, deposit, and I haven't got enough balance, pal. So I'm gonna have
It's a
to
free.
wait till I get.
It's free this week.
It's free, yeah. It's completely
Oh.
free to play.
Oh, what's it again? We are the what?
Yeah, WATTV.
Oh, so where it says join, I click
Yeah.
on join and I type We Are Tottenham TV. It's probably going to say this code was not found, but yeah.
WATTV.
Oh, if it won't let me, then send me a
It will
message
let
on
you.
Instagram.
It will. All right,
Right,
no
mate.
worries, Carl.
No problems.
Oh, he's gone. Nice one. All right.
All right. Let's keep going and let's go to Ben next. How you doing, Ben?
How you doing, guys?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Obviously, looking forward to the game tomorrow. How much confidence have you got about the game tomorrow?
I'm usually very positive, but I think there's so much negativity around. It's brought me down.
Yeah, well,
warranted?
talk to us about that. Talk to us about that. Do you think it's warranted?
I don't know, to be honest. I'm to be honest, negativity has brought me really down because I believe we're not going to just like if you play football, you know you're not just going to straight win. We can't expect to win everything. The fact that we're still third place in the table, Conte got us into the Champions League. Like what he did for us to get into the Champions League, and now at the beginning of the season, we are third on the table. We've had what is it? 4 losses, 5 losses, 3 in a row. Is it? I don't know.
We've lost two in a row in the league.
2 in a row in the league, and everybody can complain that we're not playing attractive football, but the Italian football style is the way Conte is playing. That we just sit back and defend. When we get the ball, we go and attack, or sometimes get the counter attack. But that so people can say we have to press. I don't think players can keep pressing that high for 90 minutes, and Kane doesn't like to press. So every time you see like Bentancur doing a madness going forward to try and press, Kane's always sitting back. He's not going forward. He's like, if you're going to press, you have to press as a team. That's the whole idea of a press, to not let them get out of the play. And the fact that that's not happening, I don't know. I'm quite hopeful with this Bournemouth game, though.
What changes would you make for the Bournemouth game? Would you bring in Brian Hill? There's been a lot of talk about potentially him starting. What would you do?
I don't think he should start. And that's quite sad because I think we should keep that player as happy as we can at Tottenham because he's a talented lad to play for us. I just think he needs to work in his physique and his strength. He also just, I don't know, he still has to work on it, but he's such a talented guy. We have to keep happy in the squad. But I don't think we should start him. I think we should start as we always do, and then come when we're finding things difficult, that extra energy, that extra boost. That's when I believe he has to come on. Just like when Richarlison might have come on, like Lucas Moura. Sometimes he has to come in at right back just to give us an extra boost and energy. I don't think Lucas Moura was terrible last game. Many people complained about him. I don't think he was terrible. I think him and Hill were the only ones actually trying to run at players and getting past them. Even if they lost the ball, even while trying, they messed up many times. I think the fact that they were trying, it just showed how much effort they were trying to put into it. Yeah, I don't think Brian Hill starts, and we've got to be crazy to think Conte will start it.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's come on and done well the last couple of games in the Champions League, and you're coming up against the Bournemouth side that, when you're looking at their fullbacks, you're talking about Adam Smith and Fredericks, who aren't the most physical players. So is it not a good opportunity to give him a go tomorrow?
Logically, yes. Are we going to do it? I don't think so. I'm 99% sure that it's not going to happen, because Conte will not take risks. He'll just want to win the game and fully boost on. It's bad enough we're probably going to have to bring Davinson Sanchez on, and we can't. I don't think he wants to risk anymore. I think he will come on, but not as a starting player, which is I think that's my opinion. Not that I agree with it, but I think that's what's going to happen.
So what's your prediction, Ben?
Do we want to know your prediction, Ben?
No, actually, I was thinking we were going to thrash Bournemouth. I was always thinking we are going to absolutely take them apart, and I was thinking we'd maybe score 4 goals or 3. But I'm just that's on the hope that Sonny starts turning up and Kane does a bit more for us. But that's with the hope, and then with all this negativity, I'm still going with the 2-0.
2-0. Love it. I said 2-0 as well. Who's on the score sheet? Kane and Son?
That was my prediction. Yeah. But to be fair, when I said Kane, when I was thinking this, I was speaking to somebody else. I think it's going to come from a header from a corner, and then I said probably Kane, but it could be anyone on the corner.
All right, well, hopefully your prediction pans out, because we desperately need those 3 points this weekend. But thank you so much for coming on, Ben.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers. See you soon. See you soon. Bye-bye. So that brings an end to our live stream today. Stay tuned, because predicted lineup is coming away, as well as Antonio Conte's press conference. So you get to hear every word that he has said. And obviously, as you heard before, 1 a.m. tonight or tomorrow morning, whichever way you want to look at it, is the Late Show with Brian Daigle and Bobby Kay. So stay tuned for that as well. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.